What if I told you that Bishop Rance Allen's death wasn't what it seemed? That behind the happy gospel tunes and booming voice was a man who was being kept quiet because of what he was about to say. A former choir member has just come forward with shocking claims that point to a cover-up so deep that it could shake the gospel world to its core. Trust me, what you're about to hear may completely change how you remember this gospel legend. Bishop Rance Allen wasn't just a gospel singer. He was a voice of power, passion and praise who was known for combining traditional gospel with soul and R&B. His impact went far beyond the pulpit. Fans all over the world were sad about his death in 2020, but not everyone believed the official story. Also, recently, a former choir member made the shocking claim that Bishop Allen's death may have been faked. Yes, you read that right. It may not have been natural or accidental, but may have been planned to keep him quiet about accusations of shady financial dealings. There are powerful pastors and secret gospel label plans working behind the scenes to control the story. In today's movie, we'll look into these shocking claims. Listen to what this choir member says really happened, how gospel insiders responded behind the scenes, and the surprising link to dark money in the gospel industry. You won't believe who is being blamed and what they're said to have done to keep their secrets. Grab a cup of tea, sit back and stay until the end because we're going to break down every twist in this spiritual scandal that everyone is talking about. When the gospel community heard on October 31, 2020, that Bishop Rance Allen had died, they were shocked. According to official reports, he died from complications after a medical procedure at the age of 71. Legends like Kirk Franklin and Donnie McLaren paid their respects, but in the middle of the morning something didn't seem right. At least not to anyone who was close to the scene behind closed doors. Some people said that Rance looked fine just days before he died. Others said that he was still preaching and singing. Even fans noticed that there wasn't much information about what really happened. No photos, no full medical report, and no funeral open to fans. But then, in a now-deleted Facebook Live, a woman who says she was a former choir member and spiritual daughter of Bishop Rance Allen spoke out. Bishop Rance didn't just pass. He knew something. He was about to tell everything, and the people who didn't want him to talk, they made sure he never did. Bishop Allen was almost done writing an expose that would have named names, exposed corruption in high places, and called out the exploitation going on in some of the most respected circles in gospel. She didn't name names directly during the live stream, but she dropped enough hints to get people looking. The live stream was deleted within 24 hours, but not before several screen recordings were made. Now it gets even scarier. Many fans said that in the weeks before he died, Bishop Allen was not as active online as usual. His last video was an emotional message about being ready to stand alone if you have to. Were we being watched? According to the former choir members, he was either preparing us or warning us. It was revealed in follow-up posts and private interviews with smaller YouTube channels that Bishop Rance Allen had become more and more angry as he got older about being used, underpaid, and spiritually manipulated. The problem is that a small group of gospel executives, many of whom have ties to Christian record labels and major megachurches, allegedly control everything from chart rankings to who gets booked at the biggest gospel festivals. Here's how the scheme allegedly worked. Artists would sign contracts through faith-based companies that looked legit at first glance, but they had harsh gag clauses, low pay, and pressure to stay quiet about label politics. Some pastors even worked as silent partners in these labels, sending tithes and donations to production companies while paying artists crumbs. The band member said Bishop Allen found that some gospel stars, some of whom are still active today, were being spiritually pampered and were being told they had to play along or lose everything. So, she said he was sick of seeing people who were blessed but broke and sick of seeing gifted artists sell their souls to stay relevant in a system that didn't even honor God anymore. Now, let's be honest. We've heard rumors before about gospel artists being silenced and backstage deals at praise concerts that have nothing to do with worship. But according to this source, Bishop Allen had documents, emails, and financial receipts that he was putting together as proof that some pastors were manipulating both music and money, and that these pastors were connected to shady investors with worldly goals. A megachurch leader who has been seen working with both gospel acts and secular labels kept coming up in fan forums as someone who used to be close to Rance but stopped inviting him to perform after 2018. That same year, Bishop Allen is said to have told friends that he felt pressured to shut up or be shut down. By 2019, he had stopped touring as much, stopped public interviews, and only gave short statements through church video streams. Some people now say he was being physically and spiritually threatened. This is where things really get heated. A choir member said that Bishop Allen had set up a private Zoom meeting with 3 journalists and a gospel label whistleblower just before he died. The meeting never happened though, because Bishop Allen was admitted to the hospital the day before for what they said was a routine heart procedure. He never came out, but just when you thought that was the deepest part of the rabbit hole, Section 3 shows an even scarier story about the alleged funeral cover-up and what happened to all of Bishop Rance Allen's unpublished work. A famous person like Bishop Rance Allen dies, his fans and followers expect a proper funeral. Instead, they got a rushed, limited, and highly controlled send-off that raised more questions than it answered. The funeral service in his hometown of Toledo, Ohio, was streamed online because of COVID-19 restrictions, or so they said. Even die-hard fans noticed right away how scripted and edited it looked. There were no wide-angle shots of the body, no live interaction with grieving fans, just a heavily filtered ceremony with pre-recorded footage and rushed speeches. To make things even stranger, replays of the live stream that many fans had saved or shared were taken down multiple times on Facebook, YouTube, and other sites. Whole fan channels that posted clips were flagged or removed, and people who went privately said they were told not to record anything. One former choir singer said on TikTok, "We weren't allowed to get close. It was like we were being watched." Even his brothers looked like they were under pressure. The most disturbing thing is that none of Bishop Rance Allen's personal files, music archives, or final sermons have been found since he died. According to the source, he never let his laptop out of his sight, and it was said to have voiced memos, outlines of unreleased gospel collaborations, and direct audio messages for people he trusted. The choir member said that within 48 hours of his death, his house was cleaned out by church-hired workers who said they were doing it for the ministry. When close friends asked where his sermon notes and music drives were, they were told that everything was safe, but nothing has been released. That's right. Not a single lecture and not a single unreleased track. A gospel blogger from Atlanta who started investigating the Rance Allen case had their channel demonetized and then deleted without giving a reason. The blogger said they were in touch with someone who saw Rance's files and was planning to release them anonymously. In a video before they were shut down, they said, "They don't want the truth out because if it gets out, it shakes the whole gospel foundation." These are not random events, they are patterns. A tightly controlled funeral and disappearing media silence voices, but more and more people who used to be quiet are now speaking out. In Section 4, we look at the biggest surprise of all, an unreleased voicemail Bishop Rance Allen supposedly sent to a close friend just 2 days before the funeral. Before he died, the note as if the mystery couldn't get any stranger, a voicemail message from Bishop Rance Allen to a longtime friend and fellow gospel musician, just 2 days before he died was found. Many people think it was never meant to be made public. A friend, who has chosen to remain anonymous for safety reasons, is said to have shared this voicemail secretly with 2 gospel insiders. These insiders then leaked parts of it in a closed Telegram group, but the full recording has never been confirmed by the public. A piece that has been typed up and passed around the gospel group in the message, Bishop Allen's voice is obviously worn out, not weak, but heavy. His words are slow and careful, and they are full of warnings. According to that audio, they said, "I don't know what's going on, but I see it. I see the snakes. I see the ones in robes hiding behind choirs and fake praise. I have names and proof, and I'm not scared, but if something happens to me, don't let it be for nothing. Don't let them write the ending to my story." Voice fades for a moment, and then there is one last chilling line. "If the church doesn't clean itself." God willing, people who heard the short clip said it was unshakable. and when the friend tried to post it online, the audio vanished within hours because of copyright and privacy issues. Some now speculate that there are gatekeepers in gospel media, powerful entities with legal reach working overtime to keep this message buried. But even without the full audio, the implications are explosive if Rance Allen really was gathering proof, naming names, and speaking out about corruption in the very industry that built him up. Then his death may not have been the peaceful homegoing fans were led to believe, even more, telling several artists who were once openly aligned with Rance have gone silent on the matter. Artists who used to collaborate with him, praise him, and speak on his legacy have avoided questions about his final months in gospel podcasts and interviews. His name comes up less and less, as if it's been quietly scrubbed from ongoing conversations. Could this be guilt, fear, or something more orchestrated? A few brave independent gospel vloggers have continued pressing the issue. One, in particular, even suggested that Allen's final message may have hinted at a secret alliance, a small group of gospel leaders who are still working behind the scenes to reform the industry from within. This could explain why only certain insiders had access to that voicemail in the first place, and why they haven't all been silenced yet after Bishop Rance, after Allen's sudden death and rumors of foul play started to get louder. Fans were expecting a response, a statement, a denial, or something. Instead, there was deafening silence, no follow-up investigations, no open memorials, and almost no mention of the controversies surrounding his death. In fact, some gospel networks seem to avoid the topic altogether, and radio shows that used to play Allen's music all the time quietly took it off their schedules. Media interviews that were supposed to honor his life were either cancelled or cut down, and the only stories that were left were sanitized versions of his legacy. The famous person with a smile, the strong voice, and the lowly servant, but whispers kept rising below that smooth surface. The former choir member said that Bishop Allen was about to reveal names and had already warned some people who were working with him behind the scenes. These people included a lesser-known gospel artist who had just gone solo, an accountant who used to work for a gospel label but quit in 2019, and most shockingly, a young pastor who had just started a controversial online ministry criticizing the commercial side of gospel. All three of these people reportedly stopped talking after Allen's death. The artist deleted their Instagram, the accountant stopped using social media, and the pastor's YouTube channel was deleted without warning in early 2021 after a mysterious final video in which he said, "If they came for Rance, don't think they won't come for me." There was a clear change in the gospel community after Allen's death. Some gospel leaders subtly told fans to stay in prayer and not look for conspiracies, while others reminded followers to honor our elders without looking for trouble. To many, this sounded more like damage control than a genuine tribute. Even well-known gospel leaders like Kurt Franklin, Marvin Sapp, and Donnie McClaurin, who had all publicly praised Allen, have not directly addressed the theories. Some fans even asked them if they were warned or legally bound not to speak out on the fan side. Number of Reddit threads and Facebook groups has grown. Terms like gospel silence and who killed Rance are popular in small groups. Independent vloggers are still going over the lost conversations. Bishop Allen talked about looking for hidden meanings and coded warnings. Perhaps most tellingly, a gospel documentary called Shadows Behind the Praise was quietly put on hold before it came out in 2024, even though its video hinted that it would look into the truths hidden behind gospel's most famous voices. One of the documentary's consultants said anonymously that a segment on Rance Allen had been taken down after legal threats from unnamed industry representatives. Rance's closest friends thought this was exactly what he feared, that his truth would be erased, his warnings would be ignored, and the machine he tried to expose would keep running without being stopped. But there is still hope. Many of the gospel artists who are now pushing for openness, fair pay, and spiritual integrity over profit won't talk about Rance in public, but they credit him as the spark that started this quiet revolution. But as we say goodbye, one question remains: was Bishop Rance Allen a martyr for the gospel truth, or just another legend swallowed up by an industry too powerful to challenge? Bishop Rance Allen was more than a gospel icon. He was a spiritual disruptor and a voice of truth in a world that often prefers silence. Not only did his quick death leave a community in mourning, but it also raised a lot of questions, like why the funeral was so quiet and why files went missing. The voicemail that was turned off and the strange disappearance of people close to him. It's clear that this wasn't just about a man dying. It may have been about a man who was getting too close to the truth. The gospel industry has its dark sides like many others, and if Bishop Rance was really planning to shine a light on them, then his story should be told in full, without any cuts or omissions, and it should never be forgotten. Now it's up to you, the community of believers and truth seekers. What do you think really happened to Bishop Rance Allen? Was it just a coincidence that he died too soon of health problems, or was he silenced before he could reveal a gospel kingdom based on power, money, and lies? Leave your thoughts in the comments. We read all of them, and if you have any clips, interviews, or first-hand accounts of Rance Allen in his last year, please share them with us so we can get a full picture. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future exposes like this one. Also, share this video with someone who grew up listening to gospel music and remembers when Rance Allen's voice could fill a room. They deserve to know this story too. Until next time, stay awake, keep asking questions, and keep watching.